This man is Dave Courtney. He has robbed, extorted and murdered his way to become one of the most feared and revered criminals in Britain. He is known as the Yellow Pages of the Underworld. If you need someone killed, a driver for your getaway car, or a dodgy doctor to patch up a bullet wound, Dave Courtney will know someone who can help.
Dave's a proper man. Be fair with him and he'll be fair with you. You try to fuck him and he'll fuck you. Simple as that.
It's September 1999, and Courtney has brought his boys back together for one last job. If it comes off, it could make Courtney a rich man. The trouble is, the police are following his every move. Courtney and his gang arrive at a leading bookstore on London's Oxford Street. Not to rob the place, but to publicise the launch of his autobiography. Like Ronnie Biggs, Lenny McLean and Mad Frankie Fraser before him, Dave Courtney has decided to cash in on his notoriety by recounting the gory details of his terrible crimes.
Everyone take a look at this. That's how you got to do it. 6 at a time or piss off out of it.
Virgin Publishing has paid him an undisclosed amount for the book and promised Courtney his colourful history will ensure that it's a bestseller. Courtney now hopes to become Britain's most wanted celebrity gangster.
Wait.
He's a very, very aggressive man and very dangerous. He's been linked to several murders. He's confessed to murder, several murders, not just in this country but also abroad. His book, even brazenly in his book, he decided to confess to 2 murders in that as well. So someone like this is not a nice man, and although he is at first sight a gentleman, you'll never find a more charming man, but I think that therein lies his danger and power. That's it.
Dave Courtney has assembled his gang for a photo shoot. Unlike most criminals who try to conceal their crimes, Courtney has decided to tell the whole world about his.
I've done what would be said in the Bible is the most cardinal sin, and had to take someone's life on more than one occasion. But once again, I feel I was justified in that, as it was sort of put upon me that it was a me or him situation. Now, that doesn't happen to normal people in normal everyday life, but in very rare occasions in my way of life, then that does arise.
There is certain problems in this life where people need a fucking good hiding, and Dave was the one that would usually give it to them. You know what I mean? He would be the chosen one. People would say, Dave, this fucker really needs a hiding. We can't talk to him, we can't deal with him, so Dave, they knew, would go and do the job.
A lot of the things that he's had to give people a clump for, he has made sure that he's justified for it. He's got morals about the way he handles his life, and I respect him for that.
People might look at us lot and say they're a complete and utter rabble, but Dave can control that rabble. You know, he can pull them all together as one and control them. There is so many people out there, if they heard a whisper of anyone going to harm him, they would fucking jump to his defence. You know, he can rustle up a proper army when he wants to.
What I think my main input into the criminal world is this. I provide morale. I make the criminal game look like a careers option.
You might expect a gangster like Dave Courtney to come from a criminal background. But on the contrary, his father was a Cub Scout leader and his mother worked as a store detective in Woolworths. His mother says she struggled with his behaviour as a boy, but that early efforts to reform him failed miserably.
Oh, yes, you tried. Very hard you tried, and you sat for hours and talked at night time. You sat and waited because you were worried, you didn't know where he was, so you sat up till 2, 3 in the morning, you come in, you talked to him for hours again to know why, what and wherefore. You just talked and you think, oh yeah, I've won, I've got through, yeah, fine. You know, you go to bed and you think, next day, you hadn't got through a soul.
Courtney was born on the 17th of February 1959 and grew up here on the Sheffield Park estate in South London.
That's where I learned to ride a bike. That's where I learned to steal cars. and it was my first experience of gang stuff, you know. Like this estate had its own gang, and that estate had its own gang, and then your school had its own gang, and you know, it was my first experience of the gang thing where boys are concerned, and that is very, very addictive in itself, because the comradeship, the me and mine and us against them, really appealed to me.
At the beginning of the 1970s, a young Dave Courtney attended Forest Hill School. He was considered a problem pupil, but one teacher did manage to get through to him.
One of the teachers we had there was John Edwards, I remember, who to me was just the most hip, trendy teacher you could possibly imagine. But everyone liked John Edwards, especially the naughty kids. I don't know why. It might not be a good advert for him, whatever he's doing now, but the naughty kids loved him.
I remember Dave very well as a 15, 16-year-old with, I thought, a talent to tell a story, a talent of acting. And I think if I'd chosen a life for him, it probably would have been down that road. I think he could, and maybe still will be, another Bob Hoskins. He could have been a really good comedian, real stand-up comedian. And I suppose if I'd had a choice for him, I would have wanted him to pursue that career rather than going into the criminal path that he did.
Courtney was introduced to the criminal underworld at his local boxing gym.
He went into boxing, he met all these people, he saw them all having a good time, money, big cars, jewellery, and he just thought, fine, fair enough, this is what I want, and I'm going to have some.
While going to these amateur gyms when I was young, I actually saw these elder men coming in who were legends in the criminal world, was treated with such unashamedly respect, and people bending over backwards for them. It didn't matter how old they were or what they looked like. They always seemed to have a pretty lady on their arm. They always had a beautiful car outside, and they was dressed immaculately. And that burnt into my head, that is what I want to be.
After Courtney left school, he sank into a life of petty crime. Before long, he was stealing cars, breaking into newsagents, and hijacking lorries.
As you're growing up, the messing about turns into money-making naughtiness, right? And that's how it actually evolves. You don't think, well, I'll go out and I'll be a villain. You just go out for a laugh and all that. And the things you're doing for a laugh, you realise you could actually put to work and put into genuine money-making schemes. That's when a laugh becomes criminal.
But Courtney was about to graduate from small-time crook to organised gangster. It all started on New Year's Eve 1979, when his younger brother was beaten up by kitchen staff in a local Chinese restaurant in a dispute over his food order.
And I, with a load of my mates, ran up to the Chinese restaurant where this had took place and burst in and asked, you know, in no uncertain terms, who had just attacked the 14-year-old. And they all started hopping over the counter with knives and swords and sabres and all that, saying, it was me, it was me, it was me, and all that. And so I went for the guy with the big knife first. I got the skewer knife thing off of this guy. He jumped up onto the counter. And I actually said to him, now what are you going to do? You're up there, you know what I mean? What are you going to do now, you fucking idiot? And he just dived onto me. I mean, my arm was 2 foot, the knife was 2 foot, so I was standing like that, and he just dived onto me. It went in and come out. And then it all sort of slipped into turbo again, and everyone was attacking me with dinner knives, and I had to fight my way out of the restaurant.
Courtney was sentenced to 3.5 years for carrying an offensive weapon with intent, actual bodily harm and affray. The original charge of attempted murder was dropped at the trial.
I was a very young man at the time. I was only 21, and it was a very enlightening experience for me. You know, an invaluable experience for me to go to prison at that early age with such a little sentence. You know, what I learned, some people get a 10-year stretch to learn. You know, a little one at the beginning of your career is good.
Courtney's stretch in prison fueled his criminal ambitions and also taught him how to realise them. When he was released 18 months later, he was determined to use his new knowledge to begin his career in organised crime.
this many fucking tries at a real one. Excuse me, mate. No, wait. No, wait. Let me do my glasses. Oh, wait, let me do my glasses.
In the early 1980s, Dave Courtney began to lay the foundations for his empire. He started by working as a doorman at a number of clubs and bars in London. It wasn't long before he was being offered employment which was less than legal.
If anyone wants anything done and they don't actually know an hard nut, they know the doorman down the club. And so it's like a job centre for people like myself, you know. There's 1,000 people in that building all ready to come up and ask you, can you do this, can you do that, can you do this? So my criminal sort of field accelerated greatly when I took over a load of doormen.
Courtney was ambitious. Soon he was managing whole teams of doormen, and he was making the contacts that would prove to be the cornerstone of his criminal career.
Can't come in with them on.
Nicky Goldtooth and Marcus both worked security for Dave Courtney.
There's doormen who want to just work on the door, and there's other doormen who want to actually employ people and get on a little bit further than that, and then have the team working for them. And I mean, obviously there's a fair bit of money to be made in it. If you can build the teams up and run it properly, you'll get a good reputation. If you get a good reputation, you'll get more and more places to take over. Dave, I think, took a lot of the troublesome places over when he was a lot younger. Well, a lot of other door teams didn't actually want them. So I believe, you know, he worked quite a few rough sites before he got into sort of decent clubs, and sort of earned his reputation from working those.
One of the first spin-off jobs from the door security network was debt collecting. Courtney was known as an enforcer. His job was to recover money from reneged deals and dodgy loans. How he recovered the money was left to his discretion.
Debt collecting works like this. It's very easy to justify the violence, if you use violence at all, in a debt collecting job, because I don't feel as if I, or me or mine, are doing actually anything wrong. This person here has robbed that person there. Right? So whatever methods I use to get his money back for him, I've got my Robin Hood hat on. Right? I'm justified. How you now handle debt collecting my way is the psychological approach. Right? If you approach somebody with as much dignity and respect as you possibly can, and by looking at you, he knows you don't have to do that. Right? He knows that me and the two blokes standing on his doorstep could cause him the biggest problem he had in his life and give him such severe pain that he would never ever forget it. But you're actually being very nice and giving him the opportunity to rectify his mistake, right? And also explain to him that by doing this to you, mate, I'm justifying it with myself, what I'm going to do to you later.
She knows the real Dave, and if I have had to go and do something, she knows there's a good reason for me doing it. That would not stop the embarrassment in me by sitting here with my mum and saying, well, Mum, I've actually chopped a man's finger off with a set of rose cutters, or I'm afraid there's a couple of people that have lost their life down to me and all that. I've never once in my life had to do that. She wouldn't want to know it, I wouldn't want to say it, and although she's read it in the book, she's never asked me about it, and I've never offered the explanation, but I'm sure my mum knows that I wouldn't run along and take someone's life for nothing.
That's true.
Although Courtney the enforcer favoured the psychological approach, he was nevertheless prepared to murder people when it suited him. Seymour and Brendan are two of Courtney's oldest friends.
There are certain people who are so mad and big and strong and powerful, you can't go up and have a conversation with them because they will fucking kill you. So the only way you can deal with it is kill them first. You know, you'd much rather be the one that's there the next day being interviewed about the killing than the one who's in the box.
I was paid a considerable amount of money to go to another country and stand beside someone and look threatening enough and hope that he wouldn't rob us while we was doing a transaction with money. And I obviously didn't look scary enough, and he did try to rob us, and the person that I was with was shot dead in front of me, and I had a second and a half to make up my mind whether I was going to shoot him back or whether I was going to be the next one lying on the floor, and I made up my mind in half a second and shot him.
But Courtney's cunning has always enabled him to escape conviction for murder. On one occasion, he even used a nightclub's closed-circuit cameras to provide him with an alibi.
I went to a nightclub and made sure I was seen on CCTV camera. Had a good chat with the doorman. I went in and made sure I was well noticed inside. My missus went onto the stage and started her act. I went out the fire exit, drove round to the man's house and shot him. Came straight back to the club via the same fire exit. Carried on having a dance around, took my wife off the stage, stayed in the club an extra hour, left, said hello to the doorman, kept on the CCTV camera and went home. And when I was arrested, I produced a tape and got not guilty.
Like in any job you do, you have days where it just goes wrong. And I have kicked many a door down and gone flying down the passage, standing on the door like a surfboard, to the wrong house. I have thrown furniture through glass back doors and grabbed hold of a bloke on his settee, and he went, "No, this is 37B, 37B," you know? I have had somebody brought to me that's had a whack round the back of the head, been tied up, and he's got sellotape all around his mouth, and they drove him all the way out the motorway to me, with the music blasting in the boot of the car. He thinks he's off to be killed. So by the time he gets to me, he's actually crapped his pants, wet his trousers and everything, and I open the boot to do my speech, boom, tear the thing, wrong geezer. You know, so they've just had to, like, you know, take him back. Say sorry.
Put 50 quid in his pocket and say sorry.
How much money have I earned? I've earned over £1 million. I've earned my way £1 million.
By the mid-1990s, Dave Courtney's violent exploits were gaining him notoriety. Ian Edmondson was then a crime reporter for the News of the World.
Dave Courtney was the yellow pages of crime. If someone wanted a job done, whether that be a massive debt recovery, someone shot, someone wounded very badly as a warning, then he would do it. He would do it for whoever asked him, who paid the most money.
He was a debt collector, he was an enforcer, but he happened to know an awful lot of other people through the criminal activities, bank robbers, killers, whatever, you know, whatever line of business, they all knew Dave. And a lot of people ended up using Dave as a connecting point.
Courtney had by now established a formidable reputation in the criminal underworld, and his door security teams covered the length and breadth of Britain.
Dave had about 500 flat-nose geezers working for him, you know, a proper big firm. I mean, they're all his friends, and he could call them up at any time, you know, but Dave run all the doors, you know. That was it. They were Courtney's doors.
This army of doormen didn't go unnoticed. Courtney was about to enter the Premier League of crime. The catalyst was a phone call from deep inside Maidstone prison. The caller was Reggie Cray. Ronnie Cray, one half of the infamous Cray twins, had died in prison. The funeral preparations were being planned, and Reggie was to be allowed out for the day to pay last respects to his brother. He had particular concerns about security.
No, not everybody's a Cray Twin fan, and they thought that someone might come here and try and desecrate the body and all that, and so I slept in here. But on the day, it was unbelievable. This was all fenced off. There was about 400 or 500 press all round here. There was hanging off lampposts, there was up scaffolding, there was on the roofs, and it was all fenced off from there, and this was just a mass of reeves. The most beautiful flares you've ever seen in your life. There was like untold television cameras everywhere, and well, nearly over 250,000 people, the biggest funeral since Winston Churchill. And for me, it was very, very scary because I was running the security, and if anything went wrong, it was falling on my head. One of the most memorable conversations I had with the chief of police at the time was I was being a little bit cocky, like I normally am, when he was saying about what policemen could do that my security men could do, and I was saying I could do everything that a policeman could do. And he said, one thing you can't do, he said, we haven't ruled out the possibility of snipers, he said, and the one thing we've got that you haven't got is we've got firearms. And I said, well, no. I said, you're wrong there, Gov. I said, because the one thing you've got that I haven't got is firearm certificates. We've got the guns, and he just didn't find that very funny at all. Well, now this church holds 150, 200 people, and out here there was maybe 250,000. Now what 200 do you let in? You know, that is do you let in someone that's never met him before by accident and say, all right, and then go no to someone that spent 20 years in a cell with him? Now you've got to know who is who, and that was the hardest bit of the lot. I had 160 blokes on the day. Mr. Glasgow, Mr. Newcastle, Mr. Liverpool, Mr. Brighton, Mr. Manchester. I picked the cream of the crop, but what I needed here was not really good fighters to bash someone up if they'd done something wrong. I needed people here that was scary enough looking to stop you doing it. You know, if someone was going to throw a stone at Reggie's car, what's going to stop him doing it? A 23-year-old ginger spotty kid in a police uniform that's going to lock him up for the night for disturbing the police and let him out in the morning, or a 6'8", 20-stone Glaswegian with a lump in his pocket? You know what I mean? I know what would frighten me. One's going to nick you, one's going to pull your arms out of his socket and bash you around the head with it, you know, and it went off perfect.
But Reggie Cray wasn't the only one to notice the formidable army of hardmen under Courtney's command. Whilst on holiday in Tenerife to celebrate the successful Cray operation, Courtney got a call telling him things weren't well back home. His door empire was systematically being shut down, his pubs were being forced to close, and one by one his nightclub contracts were being cancelled. When he returned, he realised the job that was supposed to bring him more work had brought him a lot of unwanted attention.
After the Cray's funeral, we thought it was going to have a beneficial effect, and we thought it actually bring in more work because of the sort of status attached to it. Instead, it worked the opposite way around. The police became overly interested in Dave, and if anything, it made him a target. It made him a target to shut him down. I think probably one of the main reasons is that a civilian shouldn't have, they thought or felt a civilian shouldn't have that much control or that much power over such a large number of doormen.
Well, actually, right almost a week or two after, Dave was shut down by the police. We all lost our jobs at the Hippodrome and the Aquarium and other places where our other pals are working, because the police put the squeeze on the management and the owners to have Dave Courtney's men out the way. They want to fit him up.
The Cratering funeral actually brought me into the limelight where the police are concerned, and from that minute on they decided to close everything down, and you cannot beat the system. I'm afraid you can't. You know, you have to sort of cut your losses and go, boom, well, I won't do that no more. You know, if I carried on being a naughty man, I would be in prison by now.
By the end of 1995, Courtney needed to find a new line of work. So he decided to capitalise on his violent past and the public's appetite for true crime. He set out to remodel himself as Dave Courtney, celebrity gangster.
Oh, no pictures, stop it.
Gangster Dave Courtney freely admits to committing murder, grievous bodily harm, armed robbery, extortion, and a long list of other serious crimes.
One move and I'll soak you.
He is one of the leading figures in Britain's criminal underworld and has so many contacts in organised crime that he's been called the Yellow Pages of gangland Britain.
I'll take that glass out of your hand, Lou. You look fucking tremendously like a debt collector like that. Oh, I've just come round for some ice, mate. Ready? Yeah, I'll point the gun at.
But Dave Courtney, the thieving, murdering villain, has decided to cash in on his notoriety and become Dave Courtney, celebrity gangster.
We're all registered childminders. It's our Christmas card photo.
Courtney's reputation was built on his ruthless methods and extensive criminal connections throughout Britain. At the height of his criminal career, he was asked to provide security for Ronnie Cray's funeral. But it was his ostentatious display of muscle at the Cray funeral which was to prove his undoing.
Not guilty! Not guilty!
Dave had about 500 flat-nosed geezers working for him, you know, a proper big firm. I mean, they're all his friends, and he could call them up at any time.
This show of power did not impress the police, who began to shut down his various operations.
I've certainly suffered for being his friend, from the point of view of attention from the authorities. You know, since I did the Craze funeral, I can speak for myself, that caused a lot of attention for me. The daft thing is, all we were doing was security. Right? There was nothing other than that. You know, we did a very good job on the day. I think if we hadn't have been there, I think there would have been riots in the streets. And I think any police officer who was on that would know the same.
Had the authorities left me to my own devices, I'd have still been bobbing along quite happily as a criminal. But once I actually, what I thought was going to be the best career move of my life was to do the Crazy funeral, it actually was the exact opposite and brought me to the attention of the authorities as a major player in the crime game, and they then, from then on, systematically decided to shut down every avenue I was earning money at.
But although Courtney's empire had taken a bashing, an alternative career was about to present itself. In November 1998, Piers Hernew interviewed him for Front magazine.
He's a great character, and he's kind of up for self-publicity and promotion. He's got some fantastic stories. He's also very funny, and I thought, well, I'm looking for a columnist. I just said to Dave, would you mind writing a page every month? And as we say in the magazine, you know, each month the Dodge Pot writes about whatever he wants. You try stopping it.
The success of Dave's column in Front magazine drew the attention of Ray Moody at Virgin Publishing. Moody was eager to cash in on the public's fascination with gangsters, and he felt there was money to be made from Courtney's gruesome history. So he invited Courtney to write his autobiography.
It never ceases to amaze me that the public's insatiable appetite for the celebrity villain, if you like. There's been a lot of them, and go a long way back as well. We targeted it very much at the lads market, the laddish market. Precedents have been made with the governor and Pretty Boy, etc. So we really jumped on that bandwagon unashamedly. It's a commercial venture, and it proved to be very successful for us.
Within a few weeks of publication, Courtney's book reached number 4 in the bestseller list. He was riding a wave of gangster chic, and the public's love affair with true crime went beyond books. The music industry also seemed to have developed a fascination with gangsters.
I'm Courtney. My position in sort of the London crime scene is I have under my command 500 6-foot flat-nosed geezers.
In 1999, New York-based musician Tricky and producer Gareth Bowen were so intrigued by Courtney, they decided to track him down in order to make a record with him.
The music that's doing it in America is gangster rap, and the man that's really doing it in that scene is Tricky. Right? So they just sort of made 10 tunes up with him and a man called Gareth, and we all got 10 famous living naughty men spoke for a couple of hours on their lives, and he sort of cut it up and put just odd sentences and odd words that you said into the music they'd already made. So we've all sort of done a gangster rap record, and it's called Product of the Environment, and it's very, very good. It's something I'm quite proud of, actually.
I'm looked at as an army. I'm called, in London, the Yellow Pages for the Underworld. It's not being a villain I find addictive, it's the lifestyle around it.
I seen the celebrity in him straight away, see. Like, and he's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. I think people should have a chance. And it all just, like, when you say about him being a murderer, like, you know, it all depends on the situations of the murder. Like, he told me a couple of stories, certain situations, you're dealing with certain people, if you're in that life, you know what I mean? And he's done it for survival. A couple of things he's done to survive, you know what I mean? It's like, get or get got. I always see him as somewhere like, he's like larger than life. He'd make a brilliant superstar, you know? He'd make a brilliant personality or actor.
It's 2 months since the launch of Courtney's autobiography, and his celebrity career is gathering momentum. Tonight he's attending the premiere of a short film directed by aspiring filmmaker Nick Moorcroft, in which Courtney has a small part, playing a psychotic businessman in a lift.
It soon became apparent to myself, after a little bit of research, that the company belongs to and is licensed to a certain Mr. Broccoli, not New World Encyclopedia's LTD.
What's actually happened is I've got the tiniest part in the whole film. I'm actually being a lunatic. I don't know why they gave me that part, but they did anyway. And so I thought I'd take charge of it, and I've given the doorman for the reception party for nothing. And seeing as they were my doorman, I've invited 85 of my mates. So we all get them for free, so I've turned it into my film debut instead of Johnny's. But it is John's thing, but most of the people here thinking it's mine. She's a cheeky monkey shot, but I had to do it.
Courtney's talent for self-promotion is beginning to pay off. London's fashionable media set are falling over themselves to be Courtney's friend. There also appears to be another camera crew following him. They say they're from ITV and that Courtney has promised them exclusive access to make a documentary about him.
There's lots of other film crews floating around, not necessarily doing stuff with Dave Courtney, but doing stuff with other villains, other gangsters. It seems to be sort of gangster chic at the moment, so I keep bumping into crews all the time.
Courtney has had a large portrait of himself painted on the side of his house, depicting himself as King Arthur, wearing a knuckle-duster necklace. He is warming to his new life as a celebrity and claims to have given up crime for good.
I can only act this way because I'm no longer active. You know, you can't drive around doing it, look at me, I'm a gangster. But look, if you really are a gangster, because you'll end up in prison. Now, I wanted to be a retired gangster before I was a gangster. I wanted to live the lifestyle of the Freddie Foremans, Frankie Frasers, Tony Lambrianos, Charlie Richardsons, Joe Powles, Bruce Reynolds. I wanted that respect before I even decided that I was going to be a gangster. I wanted the respect that they had, and they are all retired gangsters, so I got in and out, and I'm now living the lifestyle that I wanted. Yeah, well, being a celebrity gangster is like a contradiction of terms. Gangster is one thing, a celebrity is another thing. You don't get celebrity gangsters, do you? You know what I mean?
The problem for Courtney is, the further he gets away from his life of crime, the more his glamour is likely to fade. Worse still, his celebrity career isn't paying as well as he had hoped, and he is fast running out of money.
Villains from being vilified by the media, they're now being affected on the celebrity circuit. This is a recent phenomenon. Sort of the fine lines between infamous and famous are getting a little bit blurred, and these guys are becoming celebrities.
Sculptor Nick Reynolds and photographer Anthony Oliver have included Courtney in an exhibition of busts and photographs of Britain's most infamous villains, including Freddie Foreman, Mad Frankie Fraser, and Nick's own father, Bruce Reynolds.
Well, it's a very personal experience for me because my dad was the man who masterminded the Great Train Robbery. So this show, what it's about, as most people misconstrue it, I'm not actually advocating or trying to build these people up. What I'm saying is a sign of the times that all of these people have got books out, films planned, they become almost household names. And what's it all about? Why are we turning cons into icons? Dave Courtney, celebrity gangster. What the fuck does that mean? What does celebrity gangster mean? That this man is running around, it's a walking paradox. How can somebody be a villain but actually be a media personality and fated like he is? It's like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Vinnie Jones's character. Where is the moral?
The film world is only too willing to indulge this fascination with gangsters. Courtney himself had one of his dirty deeds immortalised in the film Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
This is the scene where I've done one of my most talked about hidings. I'll give a geezer a good clump under a sunbed, and in the Lock, Stock film they used that story as a part of the film where Vinnie Jones bashed him up under a sunbed. A big 20-stone fella lying there with the red things on his eyes, and he was fast asleep, and I opened it up like this and done what I was paid to do.
Courtney is beginning to understand the media. He knows his big cigars will make people excited. He can tell tales of grievous bodily harm and leave people in stitches. Today, he's come to a club in Soho to give Channel 4 an entertaining interview on the subject of drug dealing.
Every time we've met him, there seems to be someone from Channel 5, someone from somewhere else, reporters from GQ, film producers trying to do movies of his life and the rest of it. I think it's the Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels thing, you know. He's the guy that Vinnie Jones's character was based on, and that kind of fascinates people. The idea that someone who was, you know, a character that was a big kind of pop cultural reference was based on a real person, and that real person is willing to talk to people and to kind of play the part of Dave Courtney, because he's, I mean, it seems to me Dave Courtney is an actor who plays Dave Courtney all the time, and he's very good at it. He's been doing it all his life, and it's a performance that you kind of marvel at. He's very good value. He's a very interesting man.
But former crime journalist Ian Edmondson knows that the grim reality of Courtney's violent past is far removed from the romantic portrayal in gangster films. He says Courtney should be rewarded not with a celebrity career, but a jail sentence.
Dave should be in prison, but he's escaped a number of charges where life should have been the sentence. But if he takes another man's life, then life should be the sentence. Kenny Noy's recently been sent down for the murder of one man. Dave has admitted to at least 2 killings. You know, whether they be Underworld figures, and he was in the old argument about he only killed his own, but murder is still murder. He's a very nasty and a very dangerous character.
There was an instance where I'm attributed to cutting someone's finger off, right? The reason that was is because he'd knocked me for an awful lot of money that people around me were going to make sure that he paid for, and he was publicly humiliating by saying he wasn't going to do it, you know, fuck Dave Courtney and all that. And it was going to be at a certain party that was being held at the coast, and an awful lot of people that I knew were going down there, and they intended to cut him to ribbons for me. And taking this problem in hand myself, I went down there, someone grabbed hold of him, and I chopped off his little finger for stealing from me. But if you speak to that same man today, which I still do, he now knows what the alternative was going to be, and he will say thank you.
Behind the smiling facade of Dave Courtney is a very nasty man. He's very dangerous. He will smile at you, and but if you piss him off, God help you, you know, you will see the real Dave Courtney, and not the glitzy showbiz glamour side that he's been known for since, say, the Cray funeral.
It's December 1999, and Courtney has hired the Talk of London to put on his own show, which involves talking about himself for 3 hours. The audience consists entirely of Courtney's friends, none of whom have paid. Aspiring filmmakers Johnny Knox and Nick Moorcroft have also arrived to see the show and even go backstage to wish him good luck. They're keen to include Courtney in a feature film they want to make. They believe with Courtney on board, they can make it big in Hollywood.
You're a king.
No, you're better. You're a fucking queen. And so I actually get something caught, and they said, well, had you not introduced this courier to this Colombian drug dealer, he would not have gone and brought the gear back, you know? And my answer to that was, I said, well, then, purely hypothetical, Your Honour, I said, if I introduce you to that lady customs officer over there, and she ends up giving you a dose, is that my fault? I mean, I introduced you, but you put your cock in, you know? Right, so it really isn't my fault.
we want to cast him as a torturer, that's, you know, that's something...
Play
that's
to the
something
man's
else.
strengths,
Play
first of all.
Yeah, yeah.
But how do Knox and Moorcroft and the rest of the media industry justify glorifying a vicious criminal like Dave Courtney?
I feel very sorry for, you know, maybe some of the people who it may have affected, but I'm sure those people affected a lot of other people. And it could go on and on. We could sit here for hours and discuss, does crime pay? Is crime right? How do you feel morally? You know? It's like Jonah's quote, let thee who is without sin cast the first stone. It's true.
People come back from wars, you know, killed thousands of innocent people and war heroes, and they write their biographies and not an eye is turned, you know. So I don't have any problem with this celebrity villain thing, I really don't. But I do believe we acted responsible in the way of publishing the book. But I also think we treated it as a bit of fun as well, because there's a lot of fun in the book.
Whilst we are giving exposure to Dave by giving him a page, it is entertaining. Besides which, I mean, you know, we're giving him a page. It seems that, effectively, you're giving him a documentary, so you have no right whatsoever to ask me that question, and you know it.
I'm just going to get me hamper.
It's 6 months since the launch of Courtney's autobiography. Although on the surface his celebrity career is going well, it hasn't proved as lucrative as he had hoped. He's now relying on friends for financial support.
So who is that? That's Brendan. That's the friend I see most of, you know. All that best friend and all that, that don't really sort of cut with me, but he's the man I see most. You know, I see him a couple of times a day. He only lives up the road. And he helps keep me afloat at the moment. You know, Brendan is just keeping me afloat until all of a sudden they go, Hollywood.
Mate, just after I had the baby.
Courtney's partner, Jenny, was working as a dancer when she met him. They've now been together 11 years and have 6 children between them. She's happy to support Courtney in his bid for fame, but she is less happy about the money it's bringing in.
No, we're not better off financially now. Like, the book hasn't actually brought us, like, you know, millions. I don't feel like, you know, it's just, it's pittance, really, honestly. Dave can earn more than that in, like, 20 minutes.
If Courtney ever decided to return to crime, Jenny would not be disappointed and leaps to the defence of his criminal methods.
I don't think there's anything that, no, there isn't anything that Dave's done, that Dave's ever done that I've actually, you know, that I'm aware of, that is wrong, that I'd say, Dave, that was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. Like, if someone steals from you, right, to make sure they don't steal from you again, you've got to lose one of their fingers, haven't you? Wouldn't you?
Can I have your autograph?
Oh!
Johnny Knox and Nick Moorcroft have made another short film with Courtney and have asked him to perform a pre-screening stunt. The audience is delighted with Courtney's gangster capers, and he is much in demand at the drinks party that follows. But Knox and Moorcroft have bigger plans for their gangster friend. They have written a full-length feature film script in which Courtney would play a British gangster in LA. They have arranged to meet Courtney at the Atlantic Bar in Piccadilly to discuss the film, which they hope to sell to a big Hollywood studio.
Right, so you've got the script there. Now, what are your ideas?
Good script, good lines, but some of them are a little bit...
Cheapy,
yeah,
a little bit cauliflower
You
salesman.
wouldn't actually say in real life, you know, apples and pears, I've never said that. And what I'm actually saying is right, but how I'm actually saying some of it is not right. You
Is he violent enough?
It's very violent, actually. It give me a semi-hard-on. I'm ever so sorry.
But the thing is with this LA movie, it's not you being the shark in a pond. It's you being a big fish in a fucking fucking massive ocean, you know. And if you can go over there and do the business in an American film,
without the baggage, you know,
without
the
the
pathetic
baggage,
little detractors.
just you on your own, you.
Without
Dave
the gangster
Courtney.
bollocks.
Yeah, without all that shit.
You
You as an
have to.
actor in an American film, directed by, you know, me, produced by Johnny, proper going for it. You know, people are going to listen. They're going to take Dave Courtney as an actor very seriously, you know.
They like you out there. They love you. But they want to see you in something developed. They want to see more of you, I think.
I think they want to see more about what they've read about. That's what it is. You know, when we were out there, I mean, that was the main feedback we got. They've read about you in the autobiography. They've seen, you know, the pictures, the stories. Now they want to see you on screen doing it.
The whole film genre now has completely changed, and once upon a time there was a machine which governed the maxim, crime doesn't pay. Nowadays the machine seems to have broken down, or it's been suffocated with cash. Greed has brought over morals, and the media industry so greedy now to exploit something which has always been a hands-off phenomena in this country. True crime has never been able to be glamorised, and now it is.
The bottom line of it is this, you know, I'm playing me, and we want 8 mil for it, right? You know, Min.
Over there, you're a fresh character. You are what you are, rather than what you may have done.
Exactly.
And that's where the important
I don't know the
is.
statistics of how you break down £8 million, but what would I get out of that, roughly, within about 50p?
You know, for Guy Ritchie's done well out of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
Oh,
very, very well. You'd be looking at, you know, millionaire status without a doubt if it went off.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
That's what's like
I'll live
total
with
commitment.
I'll live with that.
And don't hold
Come
me
here,
to that.
touch me.
Don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that.
Unfortunately for Courtney, a problem has arisen that could scupper his bid for fame. At the end of 1999, he is called to Bow Street Magistrates Court, charged with conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. If he is found guilty, he faces a lengthy prison sentence and the end of his celebrity career. Dave Courtney has robbed, mutilated and murdered his way to become one of Britain's most notorious gangsters. But unlike most criminals who wish to cover up their crimes, Courtney openly boasts about his. At the height of his criminal activities, he commanded an army of some of the country's toughest hardmen, who gave him their unswerving loyalty.
Dave has been such a good friend to me. He's helped me out, he's got me out of this and got me out of that. I've been there for him any time. I'll put him on my leg, which is here. It's scabbed up at the moment because it was done a little while ago. Just, you know. But you don't put anyone on your leg, what you're going to live for the rest of your life, and they ain't going to be a loyal and true friend.
Although what gun to bring today? We'll bring this one.
But Courtney now insists he's gone straight, and over the past 18 months he's been trying to establish himself as a celebrity. He has written his autobiography and has been telling the world about his gruesome deeds in a regular magazine column and in various television appearances. He is hoping the public's fascination for crime and criminals will turn him into a gangster superstar.
I actually succeed in most ventures I set out for. Like, sometimes I might be late with the final product, but I always get there, and it will take someone shooting me or locking me in prison to stop me being a celebrity now. I'm bound for Hollywood, and that's where I'm going.
Unfortunately for Courtney, prison is now a very real prospect. He has been charged with conspiring to pervert the course of justice in a police corruption case. If found guilty, he faces a lengthy jail sentence and the end of his fledgling career as a celebrity gangster.
Sorry, Mum, it ain't all working out right.
It's November 1999, and a large crowd of unpleasant-looking men are gathering outside Bow Street Magistrates Court. They are here to offer support to Dave Courtney, who is due to appear for a pre-trial hearing. Courtney's friends aren't the only ones to turn up. The media is also out in force. They know that Courtney is good value. As well as being a gangster, he is an outrageous self-publicist, and his appearance in court today does not disappoint.
intend this to be such an embarrassment for them that they will walk away and go, God, I wish I never ever took him to court. Right? I wish I never heard the name. Right? And I truly think that instead of this being my downfall, it will be my trampoline into the big time. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the show.
You do that to me, then?
Courtney's closest friends, Brendan and Seymour, bring the £50,000 bail in cash, in a carrier bag.
Can you turn that round here, mate?
But the real action is happening inside. On entering court and seeing the policeman who has implicated him, Courtney proceeds to punch him in the face, knocking him to the floor.
I always had faith in the British justice system, and I promise for as long as I've got a hole in my arse, I will continue to punch that geezer in the face every time I see him. Thank you.
The policeman, who is also on trial, declined to press charges. It's the next morning at Courtney's Camelot Castle in southeast London. He is a little concerned that punching a policeman in court might have repercussions. In anticipation of a visit from the police, he has pinned a note to the door asking them not to kick it down.
Court jester Dave Courtney appeared in court today in orange. A jester's costume, complete with juggling balls. Courtney, 40 of Plumstead, appeared at Bow Street magistrates charged with conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. The general public don't want to think that I've retired. They find it quite romantic that I'm still doing it and showing off about it. It's not important to get in the papers, I just like it.
Courtney is relying on his gangster image to build his celebrity career. But despite his flamboyant gangster lifestyle, he believes the age of the gangster is over.
It's not the era to be a criminal, because they have got you trapped every way you can. You know, they can look at you from the fucking moon, and that does not, it isn't all spacey, that's truth. My friends have been nicked from photographs of satellites. But before the police were so clever, and before they had so much money to spend on high-tech surveillance gear, then you could get a gangster pitting his wits against the policeman's wits. You know, and if you were clever, you was a good gangster.
But it isn't just the police that concern Courtney. He is also worried about declining standards in Britain's criminal underworld.
When I was active, crime actually consisted of an awful lot of other things other than narcotics. But now, crime is basically drugs. You know, they have got no morals around, like myself, I wouldn't, if I was having a row with you, I wouldn't actually go and kick the fuck out of your missus, right, just to hurt you. But drug dealers or the drug industry would. You can actually get somebody shot for about 10 grand. You know, you can have a professional hit done for, say, 20 grand. So if you're doing drug deals where you're getting £500,000 cash, £2 million cash, right? I know people that would wipe out the whole of Stoke for fucking £2 million. I've been in positions where I've had to kill to save my own life. I've been in positions where I've had to put a hole in somebody to save my own life. And given the same position again, I would do it about a second quicker. Which is why I really do not want to be in that game. I wasn't prepared to take them risks. I would rather fall behind financially with the other people that was in my sort of chosen profession than actually succumb to having to wear a bulletproof vest, a gun indoors, my wife in a bulletproof car.
Come on. That's my baby.
But despite his stated desire to go straight, Courtney does not seem too concerned that his own children might decide to follow in his gangster footsteps.
Give him a clean up.
Yeah?
Clean him up.
Yeah, don't let,
I would give it most probably 12 to 18 months of my very best, trying my hardest to persuade him not to go down that road, right? But if after that I could see that it was just in him, I suppose I'll get well kicked up the bum for saying this, but if that was the way I could see he was going, then I would help him along that way to do it properly, whether it be crime or not.
In my little bed I lie, Heavenly Father, hear my cry,
He's a better example to our kids than any other father could be to their kids. I'd say, because all the bad things that happens to him, they actually do bear the brunt of it, don't they? Like the visit into the prison and things like that, police coming into your house, kicking your door off in the middle of the night, getting you out of bed. Do you know what I mean? So they know what, if living like that, if they live like that, that's the consequences of it. They know how it feels, it doesn't feel nice.
Oh, man!
Well done! I like that.
Oh, you want a poster?
His impending court case is preventing Courtney from gaining media exposure, but his relentless self-promotion continues at local level. Courtney has been asked to present medals at a martial arts demonstration in South London. Although it's not high profile, he's happy for any opportunity to maintain his public presence. But this is still a long way from an A-list celebrity event, and once again, he's not getting paid.
I'm making nowhere near as much money right now as I was when I was an active criminal. But the carrot on the stick for me to persist in this way of life is so great. You know, the one deal I do with this one film or one record deal or one book deal will earn me more in one signing of a bit of paper than I ever earned on one job when I was active.
Mr. Dave Courtney, folks.
Nevertheless, Courtney gives a receptive crowd a spirited performance.
English art, I'll be knuckle duster. I try my hardest.
It's the morning of the 19th of April 2000, and Courtney's friends are arriving at his house for another media event, the funeral of Charlie Cray, elder brother of the infamous Cray twins.
This is Wish. Look at that. Look, now there's a friendly one. You wouldn't like to live next door to him, would you? This is my step aerobics instructor, Big John. I don't know why they call him Big John. I've never actually seen him in the toilet.
I haven't worked it out.
Here's a very interesting gentleman. Come this way. That there is Ian Freeman, world champion in my eyes anyway. No holds barred fighting. Ian Freeman.
Although Courtney provided security for Ronnie Cray's funeral, the Crays have declined to invite him to organise Charlie's and have instead hired an ordinary security firm. Some of Courtney's media friends have also suggested that he should not attend.
It's very, 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 very hard because I've had a million phone calls telling me you shouldn't go to the funeral if you're truly trying to say, I'm not like that no more. But the fact that I'm not like that no more doesn't necessarily mean to say I can't be respectful to a friend that I've had for 20 years. You know, I was in prison with Charlie for a year in a very trying time for him. You know what I mean? And I feel quite close to him. And the fact that I'm sort of trying to turn over a new leaf, it's very unfair for people to put on me that I shouldn't go to his funeral because I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. It is a problem. English and Son. English and Son is the name of the funeral place.
With Courtney's trial looming, the fate of Charlie Cray is a timely reminder of his own tenuous position.
He would be a prime example of my deepest fears. Exact prime example. You know, he's a scalp to get. He's a lovely fella. He's always going out. He's always been friendly, introducing people to people. You know, and that's what got him caught. Right? And just because it don't matter how innocent he is, if your second name's Cray or Courtney, you're getting guilty. You know, I do know that somewhere out there, some young fella going, I will not allow Courtney to sort of walk around and glorify the underworld as much as he does.
So why are you lying?
Even if Courtney manages to escape conviction on his current charge, he can never be sure that his villainous past won't come back to haunt him.
You can be living your life nicely in your new life, and 10 years into it, something pops up from the past and you get life imprisonment. You understand what I mean? So the fact that I'm behaving myself now and don't do nothing no more hasn't necessarily completely took away the threat of doing life imprisonment. You know, there's an awful lot of holes in the ground all around the world that I'm something to do with that I could get 20 years for any one of them.
that there was proof of, you know.
Courtney has repainted the outside of Camelot Castle in an even more elaborate style. He has also stepped up security, adding more closed-circuit cameras. He says the police have placed his house under surveillance and bugged his phones. Today, Courtney must attend Bow Street Magistrates Court, along with 3 other defendants in the police corruption trial. He is now convinced that the authorities will go to any lengths to send him to prison.
They are obviously worried. They are obviously worried that not only am I going to get off of this, but I'm going to come out smelling the roses. So damage limitation, they've just sat there and said, well, seeing as we've got Courtney actually in court, what can we do to him? I'm actually on trial for perverting the course of justice, where a policeman is saying that I was his informant in a case where a woman was arrested for drugs. You know, this is their last onslaught to try and do me some harm. I don't think they're actually going to get a conviction out of it at all, but whatever harm they can sort of throw my way to sort of hinder me in my new future, I'm sure they will.
He just wants to relax. You know what I mean? You don't want to do the cat and mouse thing with the old Bill anymore. But the more they do it, and he doesn't retaliate, it's like as if he's showing them that they're winning then. As long as we're alright, they can throw what they want at us, it's the truth. But it does sadden me. It makes me want to cry. I look at him sometimes sleeping and I'll bawl. I just feel so sorry for him, because I know he's trying to do his best, trying to do the right thing.
Courtney has been told he will have to face a full jury trial at the Old Bailey. But it's not just the legal system he has to contend with. Being named as a police informer is considered a heinous crime by his Underworld peers. Mad Frankie Fraser is one of the old guard in the British Underworld. He became infamous in the 50s and 60s as one of Britain's most violent gangsters. Fraser has been closely following the progress of Courtney's case and has a lot to say on his website about Courtney being named as a police informer. Though he holds back from accusing Courtney of being a grass, he makes it clear that the Underworld will be outraged if it's found to be true. Gangsters today appear to have embraced the internet, and Courtney's own website carries a response to Fraser's comments. But Courtney disparages the use of the internet to settle disputes.
Well, if I had the help of another gangster, listen, what the fuck is that about especially Frankie Fraser? If he was exactly what anyone thought he was, he'd do something about it. He's fucked around on a typewriter. Said he's making it up. I'm still sitting here, there's no guns on mine, wearing a bulletproof vest. The court case has been changed from perverting the course of justice with a bent policeman into, is Dave Courtney a grass? That's what the court case, the main thing is. And if I lost that argument, and Barrow's saying you are glass and I'm saying no I ain't, if I lost that argument, I get shot. Right, and rightly so. If I lose the argument, if I come out of the Old Bailey and everyone believes I'm a grass, I deserve to be shot, someone do it to me. No? I'm asking you. There's still people out there after the Old Bailey and after it's all been written down what's happened. If there's anybody out there that thinks I'm a glass, shoot me, because I would rather not be here than have someone walk around thinking I was a glass. How's that for confidence for you? I'll lend you a gun.
Courtney not only has to convince characters like Mad Frankie Fraser that he is not a registered police informer, he must even reassure his own friends that he is not a grass.
What is stupider than a policeman? Nothing. No, being Dave Courtney's mate was a proper fucking bonus up till 5 weeks ago. No one knocked you for any money, you got laid for nothing, you didn't pay to go anywhere, no one fucking, and it was a right bonus. Now it's actually been on the front page of the paper. You are a registered informant. I ain't said he ain't spoke yet. It just said that, you understand what I mean? Actually being Dave Courtney's mate might get you a smack in the mouth. No one's actually gone grass.
and I know there might be people that are thinking it and saying it, but every time they meet me, they go, David! You know, you're probably, I'd always know, you know what I mean? Gross. Because there's this gangster thing's got a bit of romance around it. That's right. They don't want that. Crime don't pay, and Courtney's making it look like a fucking careers option, you know what I mean? A smaller person wouldn't have been given that amount of time to prove himself, right? Because like, as soon as he comes out in the front page of your local paper, you are a registered informant. That's fucking enough. I've had some little geezer going because he's got the paperwork and all that. The bald informant, right? Mr. Courtney, the bald informant, and I've had to go. Can't even answer back because it ain't my turn. It ain't my turn. I want to jump over and bottle him. You know? This geezer was trying to describe me. He said, I am with the CIB3. He goes, we are known as the uncorruptible. He went, and we catch the corrupted. These are the people that make the public lose confidence in the police force. He goes, he puts his hand deep into the bowels of the stomach of the police force and rips the heart out of the police force by exposing them as fucking... Now, I went, I've got to go guilty for that.
You are the flashiest person I know. After me, you are the flashiest person I know.
This is a proper argument I'm having. I'm having an argument that's going to be very highly publicised, win or lose, with the Metropolitan Police that I am not a grass. Right, now if it's proved I am a grass, I fucking die. Right, and make no mistake, and if it's proved I'm a grass, I fucking deserve to. Right, so that's a proper little argument, that's a proper little set of stakes. Now fuck money, right, that's a proper little gamble, you know what I mean? And if I lose this argument here, I'll die.
It's Thursday the 14th of December and Courtney's day of reckoning. He has come to the Old Bailey to receive the verdict. His wife Jenny is waiting nervously at a pub across the road. She has brought their daughter, whose birthday it is today. If Courtney goes down, she won't see her father again for many years. All the usual faces are present and looking anxious. Courtney doesn't just need to be found not guilty. He has to establish somehow that he is not a police informer.
He has got a copper nicked, right, for being bent. Now the system doesn't like this, so they've counteracted it and they've nicked Dave for something he hasn't done. And in the media, they try portraying him as a grass, hoping that some other villain will come along and plug him in the head with a gun. The man is dead innocent, he's trying to make a decent living, he's writing books. The police do not like this whatsoever because they do not like it because he is liked.
6 hours later, the jury returns a verdict.
The main thing that should become apparent here is the fact that Dave's not only proved his innocence, he's also had the prosecution admit that he was not a police informant.
The self-confessed murderer, Dave Courtney, has announced that he intends to leave Britain for good, convinced that the police will continue their efforts to bring him to justice. Meanwhile, this gangster remains a free man.
Let me tell you, the nicest sound you'll ever hear coming out of anyone's mouth is when they say, not guilty. Right? That is the nicest noise you'll ever hear. It's the closest I've come to a premature ejaculation.
Hiya!
I love you. I love you. I hate to say that I told you so. Huh? I hate to say that I told you so, but I told you to lie. You lie. Well, I don't think they was expecting my exit from the court to be so popular. You know what I mean? During the trial, the prosecution said to her, she said, my Dave's going to beat this case. And he went, we've already beat your Dave. He's on the front page of the paper as a glass, and laughed. So that was his winning. That was his winning comment, and I'm sure that after they thought I was on the front page of the paper as a glass, I was going to be leaving from the back exit of the Old Bailey straight into a witness protection programme. I left through the front exit to over 100 odd people screaming and shouting for me, loads of pictures, and everyone's chuffed to bits. It's Hollywood for us. No, we're going Hollywood. Yeah, hello Hollywood, goodbye Peckham. Hello Hollywood. And that is why I love her. Well, what a fucking bummer.